We're learning Perek Dal Halacha Yud. Sichech al gabi mobi sheish lo lechi. What happens if we actually used an alleyway, the walls of the alleyway, and the alleyway is kosher to carry in, as we'll see how many walls it has, and we'll see that it has a lechi, this fourth wall, which has just uh, one beam on the side of it. Let's go to the Peirush. If somebody puts schach on a mobi that has a lechi, or on the top of a well that has beams. You have these wells around which there are beams. Arezu Sukka Kshero. It's a good Sukkah. Lo'izu Shabbos Shabbatech HaChag Uvad. It's only good for Shabbos and not the rest of the week. This is one of the unique things about Sukkahs, and this is why I claim they put the three together. And although I'm sorry, not the reason. Shrefa, Sukkah, and Lulav, because we know Shrefa and Lulav, the Chacham said, cannot be used on Shabbos, cannot be taken on Shabbos or used. Here we're learning that there's something unique about Sukkah, that it's kosher for Sukkah, for Shabbos, but the rest of the week it's not kosher. Mitur shelechi zeu pasam elu. Pasim is when they had around, when the pilgrims, the Oile Regel came up to Yerushalayim, so they had these pillars around the well to be able to draw water. It was in four corners. It was quite distant from the well, but it was like L-shaped at every corner, and it more or less designated the area as being an area within which one could carry. And it was from the times of Ezra that they did that. So, but only on Shabbos is it considered that it has four walls. They're called mechitzas liyan Shabbos. They have it in a mechitza for Shabbos, and therefore nechshav oisan ke mechitzas liyan Sukkah. Therefore, they considered a mechitza for Sukkah, a unique thing which applies only to, as we said, Shabbos. The other days of the Sukkahs, which are not on Shabbos, it's not kosher. The Maggid Mishnah cites Sukkah 7b from Rova. Rava said, if you put schach on a movi that has a lechi, so you only have two walls parallel to each other, and the third wall is a lechi, it's kosher. Rava says the same thing applies to these birois, and it's explained there. It's only on kosher on Shabbos Chol HaMoed, which is within the festival, and that's the opinion of most Goinim. And he ends. The Maggid Mishnah says, you'll find in the Shabbos, Perek 17, the Rambam, Halacha Beis, Hilchos Beis to Chav Zion. Now the Rambam is, the Shabbos Perek Zayin Halacha Beis, that Movui Sosim Yesh Gimuk Solim. There's a question whether an alleyway has three walls or two walls. But if it says mobi without the word sosum, then it's three walls. But if it says mobi alone, it could be a mobi more foolish, which has only two walls, which are parallel to each other. He explains that in a mobi sosum, where you have three walls, minater it's a rishus hayochid. Only minarabonin you can't carry in it without a fourth wall. And therefore, he puts on the fourth wall a lechi, which is a piece of wood along the side of the wall at the ends, or which is a piece of wood that stands, or he can lay across from one wall to the other on top of the roof of the leche of the moving, from between the two walls, a beam. It's considered like that side, fourth side is closed, and it's definitely just a yochid, and one can carry in it, because when the Torah, anything that has three walls is automatically Rosh Hashanah anyway. It's only with Rabbanon they wanted to enclose the fourth wall, and therefore the Lechi Okera is enough. So this is not so much study of the Rambam, but we have to understand, if a sukkah that has three walls doesn't need a Lechi even a Torah, Why does the Rambam require this lechi, this fourth wall, only on Shabbos? It should be good a whole week as well, because the sukkah only needs 3 walls. Today's asks the question: if you have 3 walls, you don't need a lechi. And the answer is that the side where the third wall is, he did not put any schach near it, and therefore there's a gap of air. So you can't count that third wall. Only to the side of the lechi, there is a covering over it. And now the question is there a lechi there? Is the lechi considered a wall or not? And that's only midrabanan. And therefore the sukkah actually has 3 walls if you have a lechi. But if you wouldn't have the lechi, you wouldn't have 3 walls. Rashi says it's talking about where there are 2 parallel walls, and the lechi makes the third wall. And here, of course, you only have 2 walls. Tosfos disagrees that if you need 3 walls without Torah, this lechi isn't going to help us. You'll need to have a third wall anyway. But with Sukka, you need real walls. In other words, minat Torah, it may very well be that you don't need. It's not called Hilchos Rebbe because it has 2 walls, but at the same time, it's not a sukkah because it doesn't have 3 walls. And the lechi, if you want to answer that the lechi is 1 tefach wide, and he puts it less than 3 tvachim from the one of the side walls, and even though it's enough to be considered a wall minat Torah, it helps even according to the Rabbanon, if it's not 3 tvachim away, since it's right at the corner, in other words, and therefore the question is, you need to have. It's a nice answer, just that 1 tefach moved away from the wall 3 tvachim only gives you 4 tvachim. As we learned earlier, you need 7 tvachim, so you need a piece of wood that's 4 tvachim wide, plus 3 that are ear, which would make it close to the side wall, would make it 7. But this was just to clarify the idea of why it's not kosher a whole week. Shulchan Aruch paskins, if you place schach on a movie, it has a lechi, it's kosher Shabbos, only for that Shabbos, which is in the festival, and his opinion is like that of the Rambam. And he doesn't say whether it's talking about a movie that has 3 sides or a movie that only has 2 walls. The Magen Avraham understood that it helps even in a movie we'll turn the page, which has 2 walls. The question is, according to the Rambam, Hilchos Shabbos Yud Daled Aleph, the Hilchos Sukkah writes that in Torah with 3 mechitzas enough is mutter the taltel. In Rabbanon, you need the 4th wall, and therefore it's enough a lechi or a koyer. That's why the Tosfos would hold the lechi is okay. The Magen Mishnah cites that Rambam would seem to be contradicting himself, because then it's Rishus HaYochim Torah only with 4 mechitzas, or 3 walls on the lechi on the 4th side. And the Magen Mishnah explains that within Torah, 3 mechitzas you can carry, because then it has a din of a carmel. It's not no longer it's not a Rishus HaYochim, but it's a middle area, which is neither a private domain or a public domain, which is minat Torah. You can carry within it as much as you want, because as long as you don't carry from it to something else. Chachamim forbade carrying in it, even though it has 3 walls, until they make a 4th wall, to make it more like a Rishus HaYochim. So we see that when there's 3 walls, it's called Rishus HaYochim, as far as that you cannot. It's not called Rishus HaYochim. When it has 3 walls, it's like a Rishus HaYochim that you are not forbidden to carry Daled Amos, which is only something that applies to Rishus HaRabim. But if you throw Rishus HaRabim into it, you're not a Yudi Potter, because it's not called Rishus HaYochim, total Rishus HaYochim, until it has 4 walls. The lechi is enough to cause it to that if you throw from Rosh Hashanah into it, you'll be chayav min haTorah. But with regard to carrying, in haTorah it's on 3 walls. And the lechi is only the Rabbanan didn't prefer that you carry with just 3 walls, and they required a 4th wall. And he cites there are those that tell us that 2 mechitzas in a lechi is a Rishus HaYochid D'Oraisa, and not like the Rambam says 3 walls. Shulchan Aruch Paskins, if you place schach on a movi, it has a lechi, meaning a piece of wood that's standing like a pillar. The sukkah is ksheira for that Shabbos within the Chag, since this lechi is considered regarding Shabbos a mechitza. Therefore, it's a mechitza for sukkah. The Mishnah Berurah cites the Magen Avraham that we just mentioned, that even if it's just 2 walls with a lechi on the 3rd wall, and he did only 7 tvachim of the big alleyway, it's kosher, even though the stick is only thick a little bit, because it's considered a good wall. Since he has 3 mechitas, here I guess we're talking about where you have if it would have 3 mechitas, them in a Torah would be Rishus HaYochid. And since this is a mechitza for Shabbos with a Rabbanon, we look at the lechis, the 3rd wall, it's also considered 3 walls for a sukkah. And we know a sukkah doesn't need more than 3 walls. And even though the Chachamim said with 3 walls you can't carry, the Shabbos sukkahs, they didn't forbid it. And therefore it comes out that the Chachamim, even though they didn't rely on 3 walls, on sukkahs they did. So we have uniqueness about Shabbos sukkahs. Or by this well which has around it these passen, which are these L-shaped corner beams. The Maggid Mishnah cites this is in Hilchos Shabbos, Perek Yud Zayin, Halacha Zayin. A bear, and if the one made for it around it 8 walls, meaning it's really 4 corners, which are 2 of them attached, because the 2 of them attached to each other. It's like a separation, even though the space between the walls is more than that which is standing. And usually the rule is that it's not called a wall, since it's a special dispensation, and one is permitted to fill water from the be'er to give the animals or for themselves. Now, how high does this mechitza have to be? It has to be Yud Tvachim. It has to be 6 tvachim wide. And between every pass, you can't have going through it more than 2 pairs of oxen, which comes out of 4, one going in and one going out. That it can go in easily, and that cannot be more than 13 amos and 1/3 of an amo. It's called a mechitza for Shabbos. Take water from the be'er, and I don't know how they put the schach across it over that great distance, right? I guess the bear the schach that they actually put on these pasim, which probably did not cover such a great expanse. So that's the rule by pasim. Sukkah is ksheira for Shabbos, because pasim are mechitzas for Shabbos. Therefore, they consider mechitzas for the sukkah as well. Shulchan Aruch paskins the din is such, and he explains that pasim are boards which are around a well, and since he doesn't state anything specifically, it would seem in all the situations it's okay. The Amor adds, in the name of the Ran, only we have lechi pasim work for Shabbos. Then you can say migu that it works for Shabbos is considered a sukkah. Even the Rambam is that when moving with foolish in a lechi, it helps you machshir the sukkah. That's for Shabbos, what's in the Chag. Lamaisa, one should be machmir, going to the poskim, which is only said b'movi sosum with lechi beruch revius. Mishnah Berurah adds that passing be'eros, that even though the Rambam it seems that it's always kosher for Shabbos within the Chag. According to the Ramah, only when they pass themselves when they were early Regalim. There's a whole question in the Gemara if this was all the time or only for the early Regalim, the pilgrims who came. But today, there's no early Regalim, and therefore there's no passing of voice. There's no passing, there's Peirush, and therefore it wouldn't work. And if it would only work in a place, they made these special rule, this exception in a Rosh Hashanah. So if you had if you had your own courtyard, you were eating elsewhere for Sukkot the whole week, and Shabbos you want to eat at home. If you put these pasei bears up, it would not be kosher for a Sukkah for that, even for you for Shabbos.